On today's show, we explore how looking back at the patterns or dots of your own life, from cheesy pop nostalgia to career plot twists, can reveal the epic origin story that's been leading you to your purpose all along. So, grab your popcorn, get comfy, and silence your inner critic, because it's time to Movify your life. Welcome to the Movify Your Life show, the plot twists you've been waiting for. I'm your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and through the Movify Your Life method, I'll show you how to step into the starring role of your story and create a life worth watching. Every Movify Monday, you'll learn how to turn everyday moments into unforgettable memories, activate your main character energy, and use cinematic tools to boldly chase your biggest dreams, like the movie star you truly are. Because when the credits roll, I want you to look back at your life like it's the greatest film ever made, full of meaning, magic, and most importantly, zero regrets. And because I truly believe everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. So grab your popcorn, cue the music, and together, let's Movify your life.
The Movify Your Life show begins. Lift your spirit, let joy rush in. Feel the magic, hear the roar. Step on stage and let's forward.
Welcome. Roll up, whatever the thing is, to the Movify Your Life show. I am your host, Jessica Grace Coleman, and this episode is all about connecting the dots like Steve Jobs, which we'll go into in a minute, but I always like to start the episode talking about something I've watched recently and whether I would like to Movify my life like it, because that's something I ask myself whenever I watch a film or something. I'm like, would I like my life to be more like this? So what have I been watching recently? Well, don't laugh. But I've been going on a bit of a nostalgia trip recently, and I found a playlist on YouTube that had every TV show and every mini-movie that the pop group S Club 7 ever made. Yes, so this is when they were trying to crack America. I don't know if they ever did crack America, but they were there for quite a bit, like quite a while, quite a few series. In the late 90s, early 2000s, so I was like 13. And so something got me thinking about one of the mini-movies they used to be in, and I wanted to see if it was on YouTube, and then I found someone had put a playlist together of every single show they'd done, and I was like, oh my God, blast from the past, this is amazing. Now, some people may say I have questionable taste in music. I love everything, basically from rock to pop to musicals to country to emo to pop punk, but you cannot deny that S Club 7 have put out some absolute bangers back in the day. Reach for the Stars, S Club Party, Don't Stop Moving, Bring It All Back. I mean, if one of those songs comes on at like a wedding or a party or something, people lose their minds. And I did used to love them when I was like 13. So yeah, I remembered one particular mini movie I watched, which is what I was looking for, when they were in America in a small town, and they went through a wormhole, obviously, in their amazing bright red, I think it's the Chevy convertible, and found themselves back in the 1950s, of course. And there was this retro American diner, and they were doing like the car drag racing and all that stuff. And I remember loving it because I already loved retro Americana stuff. I'd been to the States with my family when I was 10, and I loved American diners, old 50s style cars, convertibles. I loved it. So I wanted to find it for nostalgia purposes, and then ended up, well, I'm in the process of watching all the others. I've watched Miami 7, a couple of their mini movies, and now I'm on to LA 7. So it's really silly, but it's fun, it's colourful, it's full of uplifting pop songs, and it is just pure nostalgia. As I said, it really took me back. And I love the States. I wish I had the talent to be in a band singing, dancing, but I don't. But the idea of road tripping around the States, which is basically what they're doing so far, in a red Chevy convertible with your bandmates, singing and dancing and going on adventures. Yes, I would absolutely want to Movify my life like that. And I also want that car. Like, I'm not a big car person, can't tell you most makes and models, but my dream cars will be either a big, shiny red Jeep Wrangler or a big, shiny red. Now you know why Movify Your Life is all about big, shiny red things, like a Chevy or a Cadillac convertible. Yeah, so pure nostalgia, retro Americana vibes. And as soon as I started watching it, like all the cheesy bangers of pop songs came rushing back. So I encourage you this week, not necessarily to go and watch the YouTube playlist of S Club 7's back catalogue in terms of TV shows and movies, but if you want to, absolutely do. But I encourage you to watch something from your childhood, maybe your teen years that you haven't seen in ages. So if you can't find it on like the main streaming platforms, have a look on YouTube and just let the nostalgia wash over you. Like, let it take you back to a previous version of yourself, like the version of yourself you were when you first watched it. Remember what you were like then, what dreams you had for the future, what hope you had for the future. If it's when you were a lot younger, it might be a lot different to how you feel now, or like to your dreams that you have now. And maybe just like sit in that memory and that version of you for a moment and watching something like this. And especially if it has music in that takes you back to a certain time, because music is very evocative and acts as a good trigger or an anchor. You can like remind yourself of what you were doing with your life then, like I was at school, what you wanted to do with your life. I wanted to go traveling to America and go to a cool diner. Did that a lot. Yay, me. It might bring up some stuff you can work on, or it might remind you of a dream you had that you've since forgotten, or you might just have some fun reminiscing and singing along to cheesy pop songs. So yeah, that is what I've been watching. And I'm not even embarrassed about it. I'm not going to say guilty pleasure. I'm enjoying it and I am owning it. Okay, so probably should get on with the actual episode now. So I wanted to talk about looking back at your life and connecting the dots, the patterns you see, by looking at your origin story. And I did this recently for my book, Movify Your Life, your behind-the-scenes guide to stepping into your main character era and creating an epic blockbuster life fit for the big screen, which is available now from major online retailers in ebook and paperback. You can also head to movifyyourlife.com/books to grab your copy. I'll put the link in the show notes. And I have talked about this in a past podcast episode, but it was a while ago now. So I wanted to go back and talk about it and also talk about the newly updated version that I did for my book. And it was about the film Slumdog Millionaire. So in that, the main character, the major events of his life, some of which were really bad, all led to the moment when he was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and had these questions that, you know, a guy his age probably shouldn't know or wouldn't know all of them. So they were very suspicious, but it just happened that he knew all the answers because even the bad things that had happened for him had happened for a reason. So he could go on the show and turn his life around. And that got me thinking about looking back on my own life and looking at patterns and things and where they could be leading me. Also, I love the quote by Steve Jobs. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future. I didn't know that last bit was part of that quote, actually. I usually just quote the first bit, but the internet tells me that is the full, well, some more of the quote. He just continues. It was from a graduation speech, I think. But yeah, I love this idea. And it wasn't until I started thinking about my origin story for my Movify Your Life book. I should have chosen a word that was easier to say if I was going to build my whole brand around it. Movify Your Life book. It wasn't until I started thinking about this, I realized just how many like dots I could actually connect in my past in relation to film, storytelling, watching movies, going to the movies, making movies, my interest in filmmaking. When I look back, it is there to see plain as day all through my life for anyone to see. I didn't really notice it at the time. And it's all been leading up to me making my Movify Your Life Movimentary, available now on YouTube, to watch for free. Link in the show notes, which obviously led to this whole brand, the podcast, the book, the online stuff, the starter guide I'm doing, the course I'm going to be doing in the future. It all led to this. And I went into detail on this in my book in one of the chapters, and I was going to do a podcast episode of summarizing my origin story chapter. But then I thought, why not give you lovely people, you movie stars, a sneak peek by reading out part of the chapter? So that's right. It's story time. Settle down, grab a cup of tea, get some snacks, huddle under a blanket. I personally live under blankets pretty much year round and enjoy. I feel like I need to be sitting in like a leather wing-back chair with like a pipe next to a fireplace or something with a big book on my lap. But anyway, so this is taken from chapter 3 or scene 3, as they call it in the book, my Movify origin story, how film and magical movie moments shaped my life. Okay, so I'm just going to start reading now. Here we go. I love going to the movies. Love it. The smell of the popcorn, the huge screen, the surround sound, the darkness, the joy of sharing an experience with friends, family, or just a bunch of strangers. For me, it's not about escaping reality for a couple of hours. It's about seeing what reality could be like if we had the courage to look at things differently, if we had the courage to step outside our comfort zone, to movify our lives. When the lights go down and everyone turns off their phones and, hopefully, stops talking, I sit in that darkness and wait to be entertained, to be moved, to be inspired. And sometimes it isn't even by the film itself. I love the trailers too. An entire epic story packaged into a bite-sized thrill ride of intrigue and wonder. Love it. And when you leave the screening room and step back into the real world, you take a part of that film with you. Unless, of course, it was something like a slasher film. Please don't take those films with you into the real world. You leave changed, if only slightly, if only for a little while. And sometimes, on rare and magical occasions, you leave changed for good. I remember what I believe was my first trip to the cinema to see Disney's original Cinderella. No, I'm not that old. It must have been a re-release. I was in primary school and I went with a few friends for one of their birthdays. It was super magical, but my first trip to the movies almost ended in disaster. As I was watching Cinderella sweep up soot or whatever she was doing, I almost died. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration. But being a dramatic child with an overactive imagination, that's what it felt like. I mean, Cinderella had it hard, sure, but had she ever choked on a giant gobstopper? I think not. Thankfully, the gobstopper was still too big to actually choke on, so I escaped with my life. But it was certainly a dramatic first cinema trip, and one I never forgot. Drama and memorable moments are two of the main themes of this book and the Moviementary, so you could say I was always destined to Movify my life. My love of cinema didn't end there. It would take more than a giant gobstopper mishap to stop me from loving films. Going to the movies with my friends quickly became my favourite hobby, and I was an avid Love Film customer way before companies like Netflix turned to streaming. You know, back when you had to rent actual DVDs, they'd post them to you, you'd watch them, and then you had to remember to post them back. As a teenager, I kept a big black ring binder folder. I'd write down my favourite directors, producers, and cinematographers, list their work underneath, hole punch the paper, and stick it in the binder. I'm not entirely sure why, I just knew I admired these people and wanted to be like them. I still remember the first entries, basically anyone involved in creating Spaced. Simon Pegg, Jessica Hines, Edgar Wright, Naira Park. In fact, the Moviementary is quite Spaced-esque with all the mini-sketches and references. And hey, Jessica is a great name. I also loved getting Empire magazine every month, before the internet was a big thing. I even wrote to one of the editors once, and she sent me a lovely letter back encouraging me to pursue my creative endeavours. I don't remember her name, but I do remember her saying my letter was the first fan letter she'd ever received without a single spelling mistake or error. Oh yeah. That could have been the first seed sown that led to me running my own editing and proofreading business for over 10 years, something I've only just realised. Funny how you start connecting the dots when you look back at your life, isn't it? Like Slumdog Millionaire or Steve Jobs. Back then, I had what I considered to be the pinnacle of teenage bedroom tech. A super old school bright yellow TV with a built-in VCR, absolute state-of-the-art. Well, for a teenage girl growing up around the millennium anyway. That little TV felt like my portal to other worlds, one VHS at a time. And then came DVDs. And then came the real game changer, streaming. One day I was lying on my bed with my new tablet device scrolling through the selection of films on offer and it hit me. Wow. All these films right at my fingertips. I didn't have to go out, didn't have to buy or rent a DVD. No waiting, no rewinding, no hoping that the shop had what I wanted in stock. I was choosing a film right there from the comfort of my bed. Mind blown. New world unlocked. And yes, I realise how old this is making me sound. For the first time, I had immediate access to so many incredible directors, producers, actors and actresses. A whole universe of creativity just sitting there waiting to be explored. That moment, small as it seemed, felt like a glimpse of the future. I didn't know it then, but looking back, it's just another piece of evidence that I was always destined to end up doing something with film. The magic of storytelling had me hooked, and now the stories were closer than ever. Roll on a few years, and my favourite subject at school, although we didn't get to do it until sixth form, was media studies. For our coursework, we had to plan, film, and edit the start of a thriller movie. My group, which included my friends Susie and Sarah, called ours The Lesser of Two Evils. It involved Susie's little brother being super creepy, and us filming at this super creepy house in my village, one I'm convinced was haunted. It was so much fun, I loved every minute of it. Susie and I also created a mini documentary called Tribes for the class, pretending it was part of a series exploring different alternative music scenes and their fan bases. At the time, I ran a website called Rock Pulse, and Susie and I would go to gigs together, interviewing bands, probably the first thing that started pulling me out of my shy, introverted shell. Plus, we got free gig tickets and backstage passes, so it was a win-win. For Tribes, we decided to film one of our real interviews and present it as part of a mock documentary on the punk/pop-punk scene. Shout out to Marco of Sugar Cult who let us film our interview on their tour bus. We also added some proper research, vox pop interviews, a punky soundtrack and graphics to bring the whole thing together. It was such good fun. And guess what? One of those babies, or both, I forget which, helped earn me the Media Studies Award that year. I got presented with a certificate at a school ceremony and everything. And I remember my mom ditching work so she could come and see me get my award, something I didn't know she was going to do. Now, with everything that's happened, that's an even more treasured memory I'll always keep with me. As I stepped on stage that day, did I imagine myself accepting the certificate like I was accepting an Academy Award for Best Picture? Well, no, not quite, but only because I wasn't yet in Movify mode. I just knew I'd had a blast in that class. Big up, Mr. Silverwood. I'm not sure I should even be putting this next part down on paper because it's pretty embarrassing, but my friends and I would also make little videos when we were teenagers using my trusty camcorder. We made Pig Brother, a spoof of Big Brother, which had just started showing on Channel 4. There were only 3 of us, and the main storyline was that there was a ghost in the house that kept scaring the housemates. I'm not sure why. Then we made a birthday video for our friend Joe. For some reason, it involved a lot of immature jokes about Daniel Radcliffe's wand and included a scene where a couple of us danced to a song from Team America. Again, not sure why. And then there was our ode to zombie movies, 28 vegetables later. I don't think we ever finished our homage, which included evil, sentient pieces of broccoli and carrots, but if we did, I'm sure it would have been an award winner. Thankfully, this was back in the pre-internet days, so those cinematic masterpieces are safely lost to time, though I'm sure I have VHS copies somewhere in the loft. And now, a quick intermission from our feature presentation. Okay, movie star, real talk. Are you tired of feeling like a background extra in your own life? Then it's time to step into the spotlight and activate your main character era. And I've got just the thing to help you do it. Grab my free Movie Star Alter Ego Starter Kit, your behind-the-scenes pass to creating the bold, brave, action-taking version of you who goes after their dreams like the star of a blockbuster. Inside, you'll discover how to design your alter ego, choose your transformational item, pick your theme song, and build the rituals and confidence cues you need to start living your life like the epic movie it was meant to be. So, if you're ready to rewrite your script, roll camera, and finally take the lead, head to movifyyourlife.com/free to download your free starter kit now. That's movifyyourlife.com/free. Your next scene starts today. And now, let's get back to the action. Then there was the Year 13 Activities Day where I chose filmmaking and got to go to the local uni to produce our own mini film. My friends Kelly and Ruth made an epically hilarious fiction film about a killer on the loose at the uni who murdered people with a mysterious hairbrush. My group, we made a documentary about the university campus. Pretty boring, I thought at the time, at least compared to a hairbrush killer. But I enjoyed it, and hey, looking back, it was obviously me getting ready for my movie mentry. I also studied film studies at uni, though unfortunately it was only theory. I chose my joint degree of film studies and American studies because the American studies course included a year abroad in the US, and that turned out to be one of the most amazing years of my life. I really enjoyed picking apart all the films and learning about different genres and the art of cinema. I was worried I would never use this part of my degree in any kind of work I did in the future. Oh, how wrong I was. During my year abroad in Colorado, my newly made friends and I took several mini trips: Phoenix, Las Vegas, New York City, LA, making the most of cheap flights and long weekends. One of the most memorable was my trip to Los Angeles with my roommate Katie, and in particular, Hollywood, baby. We saw the Hollywood sign, strolled the Walk of Fame, visited Grauman's Chinese Theatre, now the TCL Chinese Theatre, and stood in awe at Marilyn's handprints in the concrete. I even got my photo taken with not one, but 2 Jack Sparrow lookalikes, plus Elvis for some reason. As if that wasn't surreal enough, we walked right past a live movie premiere on Hollywood Boulevard. The DVD release of High School Musical 2. That's right, I was mere meters away from Zac Efron. Oh yes, the movifying seeds were being well and truly sown. After uni, I got some work experience in Brighton where I'd been attending the University of Sussex. It was 2 weeks at a small production company that made educational videos. I did lots of logging rushes and admin, but I also got to go along to film shoots in local schools. I loved the work, I loved the environment, and I loved helping to produce the videos, even if I was only there for a little while. They couldn't pay me for work experience, but I got all my food expenses reimbursed, and I felt like I'd made it. Free bagels from Bagel Man and shakes from Shakeaway? Yes, please. And then life happened. I moved back to Stafford, or more accurately, a small village near Stafford in Staffordshire. There weren't any production companies around that I knew of, and I had to focus on making money, somehow, any way I could. And so began what felt like an endless stream of joyless, soulless, dead-end, minimum wage jobs that slowly sucked the life out of me, while I wrote and self-published novels on the side, which I loved. Cleaning hotel rooms, cleaning canal boats, retail, data entry, sorting files, admin, computer work, more admin. Any thoughts I'd had of working in film or creating my own stuff vanished. The real world was here, and it was here to stay. I had a brief reprieve from this real world in 2011, when I went travelling to Asia and Australia with my friend Ruth. We'd both quit our jobs to head off on an epic adventure, and it was epic. Beijing, the Great Wall of China, Shanghai, Hong Kong, famous temples in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Halong Bay, Bali, Brisbane, Melbourne, and most importantly, The Neighbours set. Another one to add to the ever-growing list of movie and TV filming locations I'd visited. A simple and super fun way to Movify your life. Ruth and I just wandered around Ramsay Street and the Lassiter's complex with huge grins on our faces saying, I feel like I'm in the TV. And then it was back to reality once again. Back to working any job I could to make money. Admin, and more admin. And by the way, I'm not at knocking admin jobs. I actually really like being organised and doing paperwork. I know, weird, right? But it's not exactly the kind of job you dream of having as a little girl. My dream as a little girl, other than travelling the world and other than the vague notion that I'd love to work in film someday, what I most wanted to be was a writer. This was something a few teachers at school encouraged me to pursue, for which I'm grateful. I remember in particular writing an essay for my RA religious education class. I'm open to religion and topics of spirituality, though not massively religious. So I was surprised when I got my essay back with a big A on it and a note, please see me after class. Apparently most people had done the bare minimum, writing what they thought the teacher wanted to hear. I'd gone on a long, weird, philosophical rant, classic me, and he'd been impressed, not only with my ideas, but with the way I'd expressed them. After class that day, he said, good work, and you should be a writer. That praise went a long way. I certainly remember those moments of encouragement far more clearly than anything I learnt in maths or geography. Oxbow Lake, anyone? Legit the only thing I remember from my geography classes. I can't point out some countries on a map, but I can tell you all about Oxbow Lakes. Geography did, however, help nurture my yearning for seeing the world, and travel has been the catalyst for many big moments in my life. One of the most important, a family trip to Menorca in 2014, a trip that changed the trajectory of my life forever. I was sitting on a bench overlooking the sea on our last day before heading back to England. I was trying so hard to just be in the moment, to appreciate the gorgeous view, the warm sun on my skin, and the fact that I was surrounded by my family, something I'd now give anything to go back to, even if just for an hour. But one thought kept going round and round in my head, forcing a black cloud to hover over everything. I can't believe I have to go back to work tomorrow. At the time, I was working as a team leader at my local cinema. Once again, my love of film showing up in the patchwork of my life. I liked working there because I loved movies. That cinema had always been my local, and I got free tickets, which was a definite perk. But I didn't like working there because it meant a lot of evenings, late nights, constant customer service and complaints, and, truthfully, a lot of work that didn't exactly light me up. You can only serve so many tubs of popcorn and clean so many screening rooms before the novelty of working in a cinema starts to wear off a little bit. During this time, I'd started doing copywriting work on the side, writing for an online agency. I'd also begun to experiment with Facebook ads, trying to get my own proofreading and editing business going. This was when I realised that, as grateful as I was for the copywriting work, having to write 10 SEO articles on number plates or widgets didn't exactly light me up either. So as I sat there on this bench in Menorca, looking at this incredible view and feeling utterly miserable at the thought of returning to the real world, I voiced my frustration to my brother and mentioned that the Facebook ads were bringing in a few customers. He told me he would help me with online ads, and since I had a bit of money saved up, but not much, this was very much a giant leap of faith, He encouraged me to quit my low-paid, late-night job at the cinema and go all in on my business. And in that moment, I agreed. The fact that I was on a beautiful Spanish island with a gorgeous view, lovely sunshine, a pool back at the villa, fruity cocktails, delicious food, and family, and all I could think about was my job that I hated, that said a lot. That said everything. Life shouldn't be this way, I thought. There must be more to life than this. So, as soon as I got back to England, I handed in my notice and quit my job. And I've never looked back. That was the last time I worked for someone else, and the last time I ever went on holiday and dreaded coming back. These days, I don't hate the idea of returning from a trip, because I'm not coming back to a job I hate. In fact, I'm usually working on my trips, which doesn't bother me much because I don't hate my work like I used to. I don't hate Mondays either. Weekdays, weekends, it's pretty much all the same to me now. And, of course, that decision gave me the freedom to work from anywhere with an internet connection. An absolute game changer. That was the start of me designing my life the way I wanted it to be. That moment sparked all the travels, transformations, and magical movie moments that followed. And all it took was that split-second decision to choose myself, to choose my passion, and to go after what I truly wanted. A theme that would repeat over and over again in the years that followed, culminating in my epic year of movification. So that's just part of the chapter. I then go on to talk more about all my magical movie moments and loads more stuff. And if you want to read the rest, again, you can go to movifyyourlife.com/books, and I'll put that link in the show notes too. So how about you? Can you look back on your life, at your origin story, and see certain patterns emerging, patterns that might be nudging you in a particular direction in life, or down a specific path, maybe one you haven't even considered before, either in terms of a hobby, a career, a business, a passion project, or anything else? It can be really fun and insightful to look back and see what the patterns of your life are telling you. Mine were telling me, film. Connect the dots and see where you end up. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Before I go, I'm going to do my Movify the Moment section, which I believe is what I called it, of the episode, where I take either a mundane situation or a situation that people can relate to and say how I would Movify it. And this week, it's my own idea. I came up with a hen do/stag party, or a bachelorette or bachelor party if you're American, or a books party in Australia. But I do know that hen dos and stag parties usually have different vibes. Not always, but usually. And as I've been to many hen dos and 0 stag parties, I'm going to stick to a hen do. Although honestly, this could really apply to any birthday or event or outing or anything when you've got lots of friends hanging out together. So how would I Movify a hen do? Well, celebrations like this, they're usually already really fun and colourful and exciting, hopefully. But we can add some elements to make it more movified if that's where you want to go, if that's the direction you want to go in. So one obvious thing I think you could do, especially if the hen or her friends, or hopefully both, are big film buffs, is to actually make the theme be like the movies or Hollywood glamour or a bit of razzle dazzle. You could get out the red carpet. You could actually buy a red carpet. Amazon has them, I'm sure. And get one of those step and repeat backdrops that celebs pose against, so you could take photos next to it. Get all the gold sparkly props you can. Encourage people to dress up like they're on the red carpet. It can make it really special. You can incorporate themed snacks and drinks, maybe cocktails, like my red carpet royale cocktail I made in the Movimentary, which by the way is delicious, especially if you love strawberries and sweet things. Big tubs of popcorn obviously is a must. You could even pretend you're holding an awards ceremony, which could be really fun. Have a little podium, and you could, the hen could give out awards to her friends for certain things, which I think it could be really funny, but it could also be quite touching. And you could give out actual awards, I had little plastic Oscar statues I got from Amazon. They could do acceptance speeches. You could film it. You could get a proper photographer to take red carpet photos of everyone. You can even hire fake paparazzi to follow you around and make you feel like a film star. And yes, this is a thing you can actually hire. So you could do this for the whole day. If you're out and about, you could hire them to follow you around. It'd be quite funny. And also other people would probably start thinking you're famous and start taking pictures of you, and it could become a whole thing, which I think would be very, very memorable for a hen do. Alternatively, you could hire out a screen at a local cinema. You could watch your favourite movie together as part of the hen do. Or you could have a dance party with all your favourite film and TV soundtracks and theme songs to dance to, make everything movie themed. You could get one of those photo booths with movie themed props. Oh, there's so much you could do. And if anyone does put on a movie-themed hen do or party or birthday party or anything, please invite me because this sounds really, really fun and I want to do it now. So that is how I would movify a hen do. It could also apply to birthday parties, as I said. And if you have a situation you want me to movify, please let me know. You can DM me on Instagram at, I completely forgot it then, at Movify Your Life. Oh my gosh, I nearly said my old one then. At Movify Your Life, or you can email me at action@movifyyourlife.com. So that is it for this week. I hope you enjoyed my little story time section. If you want to read more of my book, you can go to movifyyourlife.com/books. Please share that episode if you think it would be of interest to anyone you know. And I will see you next Movify Monday. And until next time, I'll see you on the red carpet. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the Movify Your Life show. Before you go, don't forget to sign up for the main character memo mailing list at movifyyourlife.com/list for exclusive tips, treats, and behind the scenes magic. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, leave a review, or share this podcast with a friend. Let's spread that Movify message far and wide because everyone deserves to live an epic life fit for the big screen. I'll see you next week for another Movify Monday. Until then, that's a wrap.